my channel. If you're new, my name is Callie and I'm a soon-to-be first-year first grade teacher in the fall of 2020. For today's video, I thought it would be a good idea to do best tips for student teachers. So I think I came up with around 10 tips, and if you see me looking over here, that's because I have my laptop with all of my notes written down. Also, just a side note, so far in all of my videos, I've been in a different location. I'm just trying to figure out which location works best. So if you're wondering why in every single video I'm in a different place, that is why. I student taught in the spring semester of 2020, so I started in January, and because of the whole coronavirus thing, I only ended up student teaching until mid-March. So that was a big inconvenience. We found out that we were not going to be coming back to school right before spring break, and after spring break was actually when I was supposed to have my full-time takeover. So before March, I was just slowly adding different subjects, and after spring break was when I was supposed to be full-time teaching like the full day. So I didn't actually get that experience. I did maybe 1 or 2 times because there were times where my cooperating teacher was absent, so I would take over those days. So I got some experience with that, but not the full student teaching experience. So for these tips, I'm not going in any particular order. I just kind of wrote them down as they came to me. So let's just go ahead and get started. My first tip for student teachers would be to form a good relationship with your cooperating teacher. This was a major thing for me. Me and my cooperating teacher had such a good relationship that we would text outside of the school day. She would send me just funny memes that she saw on Facebook, and we would talk about just lesson planning and stuff like that. I felt like in the short amount of time that I was with her, we just became really close, and we would eat lunch with each other every single day, not just my cooperating teacher, but I was really close with everybody at the school that I was at. So just don't form a good relationship with your cooperating teacher, form good relationships with everybody in the school because it will go a long way. You will learn so much from all of the teachers. They have great experience. They're obviously teachers and they've been in the career for a couple of years more than likely. So just talk to them and ask advice, and you will just overall have a better student teaching experience if you form that good relationship with your cooperating teacher and the other teachers in the school. My second tip would be don't spend too much time working on school-related things outside of the school day. I was given 2 hours on Tuesdays. That was our planning time. So use the time that you're given. I believe every district, every school, teachers are supposed to have designated planning time. So use that to your advantage. I used to get so much planning done during that 2-hour period. I know that you might be tired and you might just want to relax during that time, but you're at the school, you're student teaching, like you need to be focusing on that stuff while you're there. That way, when you get home, you can just relax and turn your brain off and just forget about the school day. It helped a lot because I was then able to go home and instantly relax and just hang out with friends, hang out with my boyfriend, and I didn't have to worry about school-related things outside of school. My third tip would be to plan a week ahead. This really helped me because I'm a very organized person and I like to be prepared. So I'm not the type of person that will plan a lesson for Tuesday on a Monday. I would have all of my lessons done and planned by Friday for that following week. That way, during plan time or any extra time I had throughout that week, I could just be preparing materials for the following week, if that makes sense. So if you can, just try to plan a week ahead. My fourth tip would be to add one subject at a time. My university was really good about this. At the beginning of our student teaching experience, they gave us a handbook and it gave a week by week plan of like where we should be. So that really helped because it really eased me into teaching because I had only been in clinicals, just kind of observing other teachers and not really fully teaching. So for my student teaching experience, I first started off by leading morning meeting. Then the following week I added calendar. Then the following week I started teaching reading. And then it was math, and then it was science. So just week by week, you're just adding one subject at a time, and it really helped me just have an overall better student teaching experience. My cooperating teacher was really good about this because she would always make sure that I felt comfortable before adding the next subject. So like I said, I was doing morning meeting, calendar, reading, and so she would make sure that I was comfortable with all 3 of those things before then adding math, and then making sure I'm good with all 4 of those things before adding science. So we would just talk, and you just need to be open with your cooperating teacher, and if you don't feel comfortable with something, let them know. They're not gonna just throw you in to be eaten by the wolves, basically. Your cooperating teacher is there to help you, and they just wanna make sure that you feel comfortable. So if you can, just try to add 1 subject at a time, and it will really help you just ease into student teaching. My 5th tip would be to work on your behavior management as much as possible. They tell you your first year of teaching, behavior management is the thing that you need to work on the most, and I agree with this 100%. I really struggled with this during my student teaching experience because in past clinicals, it was always the teacher that you're observing that would be giving the discipline or just overall being in charge of the behavior management. So for me to go into student teaching, it was kind of hard for me to almost take over someone else's classroom. So I wasn't very strict with behavior management, and this caused some issues sometimes because the kids thought that they could just take advantage of me. They didn't see me as their teacher. And so you really need to lay down the law basically and let those kids know that you are just as much their teacher as your cooperating teacher. So I actually had my cooperating teacher pull me aside one time and just told me that I needed to work on my behavior management more because she was noticing that the kids were behaving in ways that they never have before. And she just thought that that was because, like I said, they didn't see me as their teacher and thought that different rules wouldn't apply. So really work and focus on your behavior management because it will just make everything go easier and help prepare you for your future classroom. My 6th tip would be to start collecting school supplies as soon as possible. I was fortunate enough to have my cooperating teacher give me lots of books and just different random supplies. While I was full-time teaching, she actually was cleaning out her classroom and going through her cabinets and stuff and gifted a bunch of resources to me, which I'm very thankful for. So during student teaching, I didn't actually purchase anything out with my own money for my future classroom because I didn't know what grade I would be teaching or anything like that. But if you are gonna be certified for 1st through 6th grade, you kind of have an idea of what you'll need, like crayons and colored pencils and glue sticks and stuff like that. Those are gonna be necessities for any of those grades. So just try to gather as much resources and materials as you possibly can, but don't go overboard. My 7th tip would be to get involved in the school. Since I student taught the spring semester, we didn't actually have a meet the teacher night or anything like that, but we did have open house. So I would recommend going to open house. It was absolutely amazing for me because we had, I think, all of the families show up besides 2 students. So I was actually able to meet my kids' parents, and it was just an overall awesome experience. I had so many conversations with them, and it was really cool because some of the parents would come up to me and ask me how's my kid doing in class? And so it made me feel really good, almost like I was the teacher, and it was just great to have that one-on-one conversation with the parents and just to see the kids outside of, I guess, the classroom. Even though we were in the classroom, it was just outside of school hours, and just to see them with their families and stuff and get to meet their siblings and how much they look alike to their parents was just awesome. So if you can, just any extracurricular activities or sporting events or just any school-wide events, I would definitely recommend going to those if you can. Tip number 8 would be to get to know your students outside of the classroom. So my cooperating teacher at the beginning of the year said that she would like me to, like I said, get to know my students on a different level and just get to know their interests because this would help me better plan lessons. So during their recess time, I would just make a point to go up to 1 student or 2 students every single time at recess and just have normal conversations with them. Don't ask them anything school related, just ask their interests or if they play any sports or what their favorite kind of food is, anything like that, and it will really go a long way. The kids really want to have conversations with you. So obviously they can't have many of these conversations during class time, so during recess, that's the perfect opportunity just to get to know your students. And I feel like this really helped me also when the students were working on their writing. A lot of the time the kids would be stumped and not know what to write about, but I knew like what they were interested in. So if a student was saying, I don't know what to write about, but I knew that they liked soccer because I learned that about them at recess, I would tell them, well, you like soccer, don't you? Why don't you write about that? And it would just spark their interest and help them just overall. Tip number 9 is to keep a next year notebook. It doesn't always have to be a physical notebook. I actually did this just on my phone in my notes app. So just things that I liked that I would see other teachers in the school do, or even my cooperating teacher, I would write them down, and I still look back on it to this day because you're gonna forget these things. So just to have it written down in the moment is very helpful for you. So there's like certain behavior management things that my cooperating teacher did, or just certain lessons that I really loved, and I would just write those down in my notes, and it's great to look back on to help me plan for next year. My 10th tip is constructive criticism can be difficult to hear, but you need to hear it. I had many times where my cooperating teacher would pull me aside after lessons and just bluntly say, this did not go well, this did go well, and it really helped me grow during my student teaching experience, and I really believe it's going to help me a lot for next year because you need to hear the good and the bad things that you're doing. I know, like, I left student teaching a couple of times after hearing that constructive criticism that was bad, and it made me upset, but I know that it was going to help me in the future. So it might be hard to hear in the moment, but just realize that it's going to overall help you be a better teacher. So those are all the tips that I have for you today. I hope this video wasn't too all over the place and that it helps a student teacher out in the future. I know that you're going to do absolutely amazing, and if any of you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at callies.class, or you can even just inbox me here on YouTube and I will more than likely respond. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!